Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Questbound Reader. As promised on my last video, today we're going to have a 3-book compilation to this video, and we're going to be talking about the books 2, 3, and 4 of Arcane Ascension, titled On the Shoulders of Titans, The Torch That Ignites the Stars, and The Silence of Unworthy Gods. So, I've never done a video like this, so bear with me as I try to figure things out. I don't do scripts and I don't much edit my videos, so I'm not going to be cutting here and there and adding new things like that. It's just takes way too much time, and I'd rather you guys get my original reactions from these books. I just finished reading them, and I am very excited because I read all 3 of these in the span of a week, which is fast, very fast for me. But I just really wanted to get through them and see what it concluded in thus far. Let's start with book 2. I'm going to give each of these an individual score, and then I'm going to give so far the series a score as a whole. Book 2, On the Shoulders of Titans, I give it a 2. Sorry, not a 4. A 4. So book 2, I give it a 4. I like this book. I think most of you guys would enjoy this book if you've already read the first one and you decided to continue on the second one. In this book, and mind you, there are going to be some spoilers. It's hard to talk about the second, third, and fourth book in a series without mentioning any spoilers. So we are going to have some spoilers. Book 2 focuses mainly on what Corin is doing to get stronger, how he's interacting with his brother, and how he's interacting also with his mother, etc. Corin is still at his first year in Lorien Heights, which is the magical school that he goes to. And he's just trying to get stronger. He's trying to finish all his classes and pass all his classes so that he can choose to be a military climber of the spires, which is what he aspires to be. During this book, he manages to go back into the spire and briefly, if I'm not mistaken, meet with his brother. And I'm going to talk about what happens, but I don't remember, since I read these 3 back to back to back, I don't remember much of what happened in one versus where the other one left off. So I'm going to kind of talk it as a whole story. And so that I can do that, I'm going to give you the ratings for the 3 books now. So book 2, I gave it a 4. Book 3, I also gave it a 4. And book 4, I gave it a 4.5. So those are my 3 scores. My combined score for this series is a 4.5 out of 5. Is what I'm going to go with. I think that's fair. No, let's go with a 4. A 4 out of 5, I think, is fair. and I'll explain to you why. So he manages to graduate his first semester of Lorien Heights, and he's excited. His first year is over. He's gotten significantly stronger. We now know that he has an Arbiter attunement, which is a special attunement given to those who are, think of like emissaries of the Spire Guardians, and they are Spire Gods, I guess you can say. And the Arbiter attunement kind of synchronizes very well with his current Enchanter attunement, which was a non-combatant attunement. Now, I will say this one thing about Corin, and that is that Corin, our main character, is a very smart kid. He's very on his feet. He thinks quick, and he doesn't really let the opinions of others sway on him. I want to talk briefly about book 3 now, and then I'm going to go into book 4, and then I'm going to give you why I rated these books what I did. So book 3 is The Torch That Ignites the Stars. And this book was actually really interesting. It was a bit slow for me at the beginning. But we get to meet another Arbiter. And in that whole meeting another Arbiter, you learn a lot about Farron Labs, which I'm not going to get too much into them because you need to read the book to see who they are. Now, I will say that Farron Labs is the one making headway when it comes to creating artificial attunements. Corin is kind of like a knowledge crazed person. He wants to become smarter so he can use all his knowledge and put it into practice. With that comes responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. So this is Corin trying to figure out how he's going to use the knowledge that he's gaining to his advantage and to the advantage of those around him. At around the same time, more or less, Tristan makes him an offer to join him, and Corin decides yes, that he is going to join Tristan along with Sarah. Now, somewhere in book three, after coming out of the spire with Tristan and going through the recovery phase, he meets with his father, and his father kind of beats the crap out of him and tells him that he has to come home. And instead, he just leaves, doesn't go home, disobeys his father, who's the lord of the house or whatever, and he just disappears, goes off to another place with his friends to get stronger and train. Um, Somewhere in this place, they meet a very cool character. His name is Warren Constantine, and that's all I'm going to say. He's probably one of the coolest additions to the story, and I can't wait to see what happens with him in book five. Hopefully, something happens in book five. Um, but yeah, he's very cool, very, very strong, and also very, very odd. He kind of has some mental issues where he forgets a lot of what's going on in his life, and he has to use spells to remember or to stop or lessen the degeneration of his mind. Um, I find that cool. As someone who studied psychology, I think it's the mind is an awesome tool, and I think if there were things that you could use to stop the degeneration of minds, well, that'd be awesome. So if any of you guys out there are neurologists or working in the field and you're trying to figure out what's going on, I definitely encourage you to keep going, and kudos to you, and I hope you figure it out, right? But anyway, he takes the stance of someone who's going to help Tristan, and with that comes more dangers. So he does meet several of the monsters that are significantly stronger than him or anybody else out there. There are catastrophic events where many side characters die, and many characters in the world itself die due to one person coming out and fighting them. Now, at the same time, Karis Salarian, who is probably one of the stronger people that we've met in the books, decides to train him and Mara, Corin and Mara, and give him tips on how to fight. Um, this leads us at some point to book four. Now, book four for me was really a step up from the previous other books. Excuse me. And in book four, Corin is able to. Gosh, I want to spoil so many things about book four. It's actually a really good book. In my opinion, it's the best in the series so far by a large margin. Um, in book four, Corin is already starting his second semester. They're trying to figure out a lot of things with him in school, and he is challenged to a duel by his father. In this book, he accomplishes the duel by his father. I'm not going to tell you the results right now. I will say that he it's an interesting duel, and it's a short duel, shorter than I expected. So I I think the best parts of book four are toward the end of book four. And that's what happens with the Jaden box, which, if you've been reading the series, you know what's going on with the Jaden box and who they're supposed to bring back with it. My favorite part of the entire book is once Corin, with the help of Derek, finds a way to use or to spark a connection and commune with Celis Liane. I think Celis Liane, I don't know how to pronounce it. If you are here, then you know who Celis Liane is, and you know, or rather, what or who is Celis Liane, and the importance of that. So I hope you understand. I'm not going to give spoilers into that. I want you guys to really get into this as much as I did. I went into all these books without reading the preface or knowing anything about them, just because I like being surprised sometimes in books. So I think this was a great addition. I think you guys are gonna really like it. I'm gonna give you guys now why I rated each book, what I gave it, and why overall I give the series a four. Um, I'm gonna tell you things I don't like first. So number one, Corin he's very socially anxious, and I get that. I get that there are people out there like that don't like to be touched. But he's like, I think he takes it to a higher degree, and it's kind of annoying when his sister's trying to give him a hug. He's like, "Oh, don't touch me!" Like, I get freaked out, or it's like these are your teammates. These are people that have bled with you, almost died with you, and you're in your mind, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm not gonna give them a hug." Like, no, bro. Like, relax. And look, This is my opinion. If you guys don't share the same opinions as me, I get it. That's fine. Everybody gets their own take on life, and I respect your opinion. So you guys hopefully respect my opinion and don't talk too much crap about it, right? Um, but I am honest, and I'm gonna be honest here in this channel always. So to me that was just very like a interesting character decision by the author, and I hope that there's much less of that moving on, because at this point this kid is just like all over the place when it comes to that. Second, now, and I'm going to preface by saying I don't have any problem with how you orient yourself in life, um but this kid is um very confused sexually and romantically, and that's not something that I want to read in a fantasy book. If this were a book about, psychology and how the mind works, and gender and all these kind of things, I would expect some of the things that happen. But like the whole calling people like different pronouns and all this, like I'm not big into that. I don't want to necessarily be reading that, and I don't think a lot of our audience wants to either. um so I think that was also a very interesting character or narrative style. It might have been the author, it might have been the publisher. I know with what's going on in the world, everybody's trying to make everybody happy, and I think ultimately when you do that, you end up making a lot of people unhappy. So I think there's a place for all of these things like gender and pronouns and all this, but I don't think it's in fantasy books where you just want to read about cool powers and magic and like fighting, and especially in this kind of book like progression. So I think that that was kind of interesting. There's specifically one character that they make like heavy emphasis on calling them they them pronouns, and they even say something along the lines of, I need to make sure which pronouns this person wants to be called so that I don't risk offending them, which sounds to me like propaganda that we've been hearing all over social media for the past few years. I don't necessarily appreciate that. Again, I think there's a special place for that outside of this, just not in fantasy. I also don't think this kid knows romantically like what the hell he is. He likes girls, he likes boys. They don't make any reference to his sexual preferences, but they say that he likes people that are very smart, which is kind of weird. I know that there's many people out there again who associate themselves with this kind of romantic relationships, that you're attracted to knowledge and all that stuff. I get that. But again, this is a fantasy book, not necessarily a book for the LGBTQ, the all the pronouns, and I get that. I get that everybody wants to feel identified and feel like they have a place in society. I get that. I respect that. Just for future sake, I would prefer that. Hey, this book. I mean, and it does mention on Goodreads, it'll say LGBTQ in one of them or two of them. But again, it's not like it's I feel like it takes away from the story. The fact that there's so many innuendos and like puns on this kid's sexuality, and he's still going through school. I mean, technically he's considered an adult, but he's still in school. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird to me. Um, yeah, I guess that's my 2 cents on it. Hopefully, I don't offend you guys. If I did offend you guys, honestly, I don't care. This is me being honest with you guys, and I feel like if you guys appreciate honesty, then you'll appreciate me being transparent about these things. I don't judge. I'm not a person that judges at all. I don't spread any kind of hate. I think everybody has a place in this world to be respected, and I certainly respect everybody, no matter what you identify with or whatever. Um, I just prefer if we contain this to specific places instead of bringing it out for everybody. And a lot of kids might read these books and get confused in that regard or ask questions that are past them. Anyway, yeah. Another thing I didn't like so much about the book is I feel like sometimes it's very slow paced. I feel like it could definitely get faster paced in some areas, especially like when he's trying to learn something, or like you don't really have to get all the explanations on why this kind of mana only works with this kind of mana. I guess it's cool if you're one of those people that likes learning a lot about different magic systems, but for me, again, this is my opinion. Personally, I think it could have done with less of that. Overall, though, I do give the series a 4 out of 5 thus far, and I think it's a great series. I can't wait for book 5. I've been looking into when it comes out. Hopefully, it comes out at the latter end of this year. And yeah, Andrew Rowe, I think you're doing a great job with this. Again, these are just my 2 cents. I definitely look forward to book 5 in your series, and I hope you guys do too. I hope you guys enjoy the series, and let me know what you guys think. If you guys liked it, if you guys disliked it, if you disagree with my thoughts, go ahead and comment below. This is what I want this community for, right? Let's talk about books. Let's talk about the things that we like, and let's do it together. Take care, guys.